This is actually take two, and hello, welcome back to the channel. I did a whole 3-minute intro and I wasn't even recording. I am a terrible YouTuber, and if you've been following me for a while, you probably know that. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I make bad YouTube videos about me gardening in my garden here and how it's growing and expanding and changing, and I'm just sharing all of that with you. If I learn something new, or if you guys teach me something new, then I pass it along, that kind of thing. So, what are we doing today? If you couldn't tell by the title, because I think I'm going to put something in the title about this, I'm going to be planting. It's planting day. Very excited. There is no danger of frost in the 10-day forecast. The temperatures, especially at night, just keep getting warmer and warmer, which is great. So now it's time to start planting out all the plants that I was nervous about planting out too early because of frost or freeze, but now with that danger pretty much gone, I'm going to start. Before I get into that, I'm standing on what I hope to be a new sort of patio area. Basically, the whole area has been getting quite muddy as I've been walking back and forth and to and fro. We've had quite a bit of rain here recently. I'd probably say about 6 to 7 inches in the last couple of weeks. If you're new to the channel, I have sort of a clay, silty soil. It just holds the moisture, and which is great for things growing in it. It's terrible for me walking back and forth and creating muddy paths and eventually slip and fall and break my hip. And yeah, so I'm prattling now. I'm going to stop that. But today I'm going to be planting out some snapdragons that I have sitting off to the side. Thrift, which I bought in a store a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Saw them at Lowe's, had to buy them, and actually I haven't seen them there since. So it was an early season purchase that I'm glad I made. Rosemary, some red hot pokers, and that just might be it. But let me stop talking and let me show you where we're going to be planting them. And I have to get a hat because the sun's coming out and it's getting kind of warm. Oof, it has gotten windy out. One of the plants I forgot to mention was gladiolus. Now, if you watched my videos from last year, I dug 3 large, deep holes in this very hard, compacted, clay-like, horrible ground that I have. And I planted out approximately 500 bulbs of gladiolus, or corns. I think they're called corns. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Either way, they are absolutely beautiful. They hold up pretty well to the weather here, and I see new ones coming up again already, which is great. I'm going to turn around. One of the things I purchased recently was a bag of aged cow manure. So I'm going to turn around and spread that over the spots where the gladiolus are coming up. That's going to do a couple of things. A, it's going to fertilize the area where the gladiolus are, and B, it's going to raise that up a little bit because the ground where I planted the gladiolus has settled. A lot of the soil that's inside is settled, so it's sort of dipping down a bit. So again, it can't hurt just to add some compost, or actually I may do a compost cow manure mixture, add that on top. And again, this way it'll fertilize those gladiolus, which is, again, they're coming up already, so I'm pretty excited about that. But today I have Val gladiolus. Now, I pre-dug my hole. I put in some Espoma perfect soil. It's like a granular pumice kind of thing. And that'll just help with the water drainage, because again, when we get rain down here, it's sometimes 2 to 3 inches or more in a day. So the ground gets very saturated. So again, no plant really likes to sit in water unless you have a sort of swamp plant. But Val gladiolus. So what I'm going to do is I already mixed in the perfect soil, Espoma perfect soil, and I'm going to put some mushroom compost and what Daddy Pete's calls, believe they're planting mix, which is aged bark fines or bark fines, and again, aged cow manure. And again, hopefully this will allow for just a wonderful planting mix for this stuff. It'll also allow for drainage, which again is a good thing. So I'm going to put a layer of that down, then I'll add in my gladiolus, top it off, and that's the first thing we're planting today. Around, you can see some of the soil that I already pulled out of this spot. And again, this bed was prepared in the no dig method. Yes, I have dug, but that was only because the gladiolus need to be planted so deep. They need a certain depth. It also helps them survive any freezes during the winter time. Again, if I say anything that sounds wrong, then please leave those comments below. I am not a gardening expert. I do know that when you plant these corns, you should try to find or see the tip. Put that obviously facing up, and then on the bottom side, it should look like almost like there's a section where roots are coming out. So you put that obviously on the bottom. That one seems pretty rotted. I'll stick it in there. It'll fertilize the soil. It does create babies, from my understanding, and I'm pretty sure I saw some last year when I was planting out that bag of 500. So if one or more of these don't make it over time, theoretically, it should turn around and fill right in. Now, in case you care, I got these from American Meadows. And if you go on the internet, especially now, there's sales going on from various vendors, basically pre-selling bulbs and stuff that you can plant out in the fall. All right, so those are done, and I'll start covering them up. Okay, over in this corner of this flower bed here, I'm going to start turning around and planting up Ballerina Red Aramia. Essentially, I Googled it, and it looks like it's a thrift. And they have these lovely red flowers here, which usually stand quite tall. They usually start forming like a ball shape. Here's a couple that sort of flopped over. And they're quite lovely. That's what caught my eye. I thought, since they're a relatively low-lying plant, but they do have these stunning red flowers, I'm going to plant them here in this corner. This walkway over here leading into, well, eventually will be hopefully the large flower garden. And I hope to eventually have it entirely surrounded by shrubbery. But that's down the road. So what I'm going to do now, though, is plant these. They should be fine with the weather and the wind. The stems seem pretty hardy. And again, this is a no dig bed, so I'm not going to be really digging into the ground. If I stick my finger down in here, I got about 3 to 4 inches before I hit the cardboard that's sitting on top of the ground. I am going to make a little bit of a scoop here, and what I'll do is I'll show you how I'm going to plant up the first one. Shake that out. It's pretty root bound. You can see how root bound it is. I will just tease these roots and then stick this in the ground. And again, you'll see what I'm doing here. That's fine. This way, as it grows, it'll fill in this corner. I'm a very messy gardener. And what I'm going to do is take some of that compost, just pull it around the plant here. There, tuck it in. Pull a little bit over here, and the next plant is going to go here, so I'll just pull some of this back. If I had, again, $1 billion, I would turn around and do some nice Corten steel metal edging. And that would raise everything up off the ground. Again, when we get crazy heavy rains, they're not drowning in water. And it would also give it a more nicer finished look than this timber. This timber will eventually rot away. How I'm planting it today also, the soil itself will settle. The plants will pull their way deeper into the ground. The cardboard that's beneath is fairly rotted, and I expect it to be pretty much gone before the end of the summer. And this method has worked for me in plenty of locations throughout this garden. But there are things that you have to do in order to try to ensure success here, as it were. But one of the things is to make sure your plant is completely covered, tucked in. It's almost the same as if you were planting in the ground. You want to push the soil around, make sure there's no air pockets, gaps like that. And then what we'll do is we'll come back at the end, and I'll just turn around and put a layer of mulch on top. And that helps hold everything together. So between the plant roots going out, the mulch on top, everything kind of stays together. And the plants, they will thrive. Again, I've done it elsewhere in my garden. It works quite well. It's unconventional. It's not the norm. I wish I had nice, soft, fluffy soil to plant into, but we garden with the hand we're dealt, as it were. All right, there we go. The thrifts are all settled in and they're mulched. And now the snapdragons, they'll go next to them in front of this rosemary over here. So I'll get to working on that. What I have here are 4 rocket orchid snapdragons. As you can see, they put on these lovely purple yellowish flowers. And I grew these from seed last year in my seed starting bed. They got large enough to plant out last fall, but it was sort of late last fall, and I was nervous and worried about the frost or the freeze killing off the tender plants, the younger tender plants. In December, everybody across the country, I believe, had that crazy Arctic, blast, whether you were up north and you had negative numbers, or even here where it just got down to, say, 20. That would have been enough, I believe, to kill the plants, because they wouldn't have had a good established root base. I wasn't worried about the tops. I was worried about, again, if those roots die, the plant's done. Because these are perennials, if the roots survive, then theoretically, they push up new growth in the springtime. So what I did was I put them in these pots and I kept them in the greenhouse over winter. Well, you can see how large they've gotten. So now they need to go into the ground, which is exactly what I'm going to do here now. Now, getting them out of terracotta pots is always a bit of a trick, but I'm going to do my best without killing or destroying the plant. Ooh, these got roots down to the bottom. There you go. I don't know if you could see that, but it's quite rooty. So I'm just going to, again, tease some of these bottom roots. It's not going to destroy the plant. Some of the gardening experts out there may be cringing or screaming in utter terror, but I've done this to plenty of other plants. They survive. Okay, if the light looks different to you, it's because I ran out of compost and I had to run to the store to get the compost, and then I ate lunch, and then, yeah, so it's a little later in the day. But nonetheless, I'm going to continue planting along. And what I'm planting now are, what do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Really?
7 flowers.
7, okay. 7 red hot pokers. At least one of these is a Lady Luck. I don't know the others. They could also be Lady Lucks, or they could be a mixture of something else. But, so as I was saying, they could be a mixture of something else, or they could also be Lady Lucks. Either way, red hot pokers are nice. They're sort of, the leaves are very much grass-like. And I have all these plants because I recently turned around and dug up 3 from the mound, and I divided them. And I probably have had about 14 to 18 of them. I've lost track. Either way, and plant these up here. So there's one. And I'm not doing these in any sort of particular order. And if you want to divide and get more free plants, you can. I imagine you could leave them as clumps, but like many other plants, eventually they probably flower less. Here's some of the native soil. Let's crumble that on there. Let's get some mulch down. And last but not least, I'll be planting up this rosemary, which I'm hoping will act as a evergreen shrub here. And there we go. We got the red hot pokers planted up, a rosemary, the gladiolus down in the ground, these snapdragons next to that rosemary, and of course out here on the edge, the thrift. And there's still lots of space in this bed for all sorts of goodies. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, click that bell icon to be notified when I do post a new video. And this way you can follow along as I build the garden, as I plant more plants, as I try new things, experiment with others. Actually, I just had an idea a little while ago about something I might do with a pot either this year or next year, but again, you have to subscribe, click that bell icon to be notified when I do post a video. And this way you can follow along with my antics here in the garden and see what grows, what doesn't grow, and what I learn and don't learn. That's going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.